Hi students. For this part of your sketchbook assignment, what you're going to be doing is drawing a value scale. And we're only going to deal with 5 values for this value scale. So what I want you to do is on a fresh page in your sketchbook at the top, I want you to draw a long rectangle, and you can do this with a ruler or you can just freehand it, not a big deal. And then you're going to draw 4 lines in the middle of that rectangle to break it up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. Now value is the lightness or darkness of a color. The color we're going to be using is gray because we're using a pencil. So my light values are going to be on this side. My dark values are going to be on this side. And it's going to get from light to dark gradually. Now, I'm going to start on this right side and the dark side. I'm going to start here first. And all I'm going to do is use my pencil to color it in really dark. So with this part, what I want to do is just make it as dark as I can. Go up the sides, blend it in as I go, and I'm blending just using the pencil lead, letting that blend it together. I know a lot of you have probably tried shading in the past where you smudge it with your finger or a tissue or something like that. But right now, all I want you to do is blend it with your pencil. So just using your pencil, and we're not going to blend it with our fingers. Okay. So I've got a few white spots left in there to take care of. And good enough. Okay. Just shaded that box in as dark as I could with this pencil. Next, on this box, it's getting closer to the lighter side, so I'm going to shade it in dark, but not quite as dark as this one. Well, how do I do that with the same pencil? I put less pressure on the pencil. I'm not going to push down as hard. So I'm going to start by putting a layer of gray on here. And you'll notice I can color into that dark box and it doesn't really affect it at all, because I'm coloring a little bit lighter than I was. I'm pressing a little bit lighter than I was before. This one will go a little bit faster. I'm going to get over to this edge. Okay, so that's a medium dark value. This one, as you guessed, should be a little bit lighter than the previous one. So in order to do that with the same pencil, I'm just going to press down a little bit with a little less pressure. Just kind of running it across that box. And blend it in with the pencil like I did before. Okay. And now when I go to the next box, if you want, you can erase these lines where you went over, but you don't really have to. This box should be a little bit lighter than the previous one. So again, even less pressure. So now the color of every box is gray, but it's gradually getting a little bit lighter as I get to the left. I notice I want to make this middle one a little bit darker, so I'm going to put another layer on top of it, and now you can see the difference between the medium box and the medium light box. And then the lightest box over here on the left, I'm barely even going to graze the paper. Just get it super, super light. And now I have a light side and a dark side, and it goes from light to dark gradually. please give this a try on a page in your sketchbook. Okay, now that you've completed your value scale, we're going to go ahead and apply it to a couple of forms. One of the forms that we're going to apply this to is a cube. Now, cubes are a little bit tricky to draw sometimes. So what I'm going to do to draw my cube, I'm going to start with a vertical line. Then I'm going to draw a line going up at an angle to the right from the bottom and up at an angle to the left from the bottom. Then I'm going to draw from the top of this line, I'm going to draw up at an angle to the right on the top and up at an angle to the left on the top. For the sides of the cube, I'm going to make sure it's straight down. So I'm going to go straight down. Even if those two edges don't connect all right, I'm going to go straight down, making sure that this line is parallel to this one. This line should be parallel to this one. This one's parallel to this, and I should have one here that's parallel to this one. Right now it looks like an open book. I'm going to put the top of the cube on. Back here, the cube, this line is parallel to this one. And this back edge is parallel to this one. So that's how we draw a cube. Okay, I'm back. Now, we drew the cube, and it was just a set of 1, 2, 3, all parallel lines, and 1, 2, 3, all parallel lines, and 1, 2, 3, all parallel lines. Now we're going to move on to the sphere. Now the contour of a sphere is very easy. All you're going to do is draw a circle. Just do a decent circle. You don't have to trace anything, just do your best. That's really easy. That's the contour of a sphere. Now when we add shading, it will look more like a sphere. And then the last one I'm going to have us do is a cylinder. Now a cylinder is going to start off, the top of the cylinder is a circle, but since we're seeing it at an angle, instead of drawing a circle like this, I'm going to draw what's called an ellipse. So it'll be like a flattened circle. Kind of like that. So it's like this circle has been squashed down. So now I have an ellipse. Now that's the top of the cylinder. The sides of the cylinder are going to be straight down, just like this, and just like this. And the bottom of the cylinder is going to match this segment of the ellipse. See how it's a U shape? You're going to have the same thing down here. So now I've got a cube, a sphere, and a cylinder. What we're going to do now is we're going to shade all three of these. But before we shade it, we have to know where the light is coming from. So I'm going to draw a little light here. So, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. All right, so my light is shining down on these objects from the top left. So that means that this side of the object is going to be the darkest. So I'm going to look at my dark value here and apply it to that side of the cube. And I might even accidentally draw outside of the lines. Oh no. That's okay. I promise I won't cry. So I'm just applying this dark value to this face of the cube. Now, as you might have guessed, not every face of the cube is going to have that same dark value. This side is getting the darkest value because no light is shining on it. The light's coming this direction. The top of it's getting more light than this side. So this side's going to be a little less dark than that original side that we did there. So here I'll go ahead and put a medium value on there. I'll just rough it in at first. I'm not too concerned right now, because I'm going to use my pencil to blend it in, make it look a little bit more smooth as we go. And for the light, or for this medium value, I'm not pressing real hard. I'm giving it a little bit of pressure to make this medium gray. Now I want it to, this side, this face of the cube, I want it to be all the same gray, because this face of the cube is flat. This is dark, this is medium. I'm going to keep the top of this cube, or this, I'm going to keep this face on top light. So I'm barely going to graze the paper with my pencil. Just very light value, like that. Now we could get into cast shadows, but we'll save that for another time. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to my sphere. The sphere is a little bit more difficult than the cube, because with the sphere, with the cube, this value and this value, there's two values here, and there's a hard edge that separates them. And then this value and this value, there's a hard edge here and a hard edge here. On a sphere, there are no edges. So I'm going to have to make that shadow go gradually from dark to light. So the light, again, is coming from the top right. That means the bottom left is the darkest. So I'm going to go ahead and start shading that in dark. Now notice how I do this curve. We call this shape a crescent. So this shadow is a crescent. I didn't take it all the way to the edge. This is just going to be the darkest part of the sphere. Now I'm going to gradually make it go from this darkest part, and I'm going to make it medium dark on the edge here. So a little lighter than I did before. Right on the edge. I'm going to use that medium dark around this side of that crescent shape, and all the way around the top here. And then I'm going to start to get to medium. And all I'm doing, I'm controlling the pressure that I put on the pencil. So not too much pressure, and it won't give too much. And you'll notice my pencil markings are getting lighter and lighter as I get around to where the light is shining directly on the sphere. And now it's starting to look somewhat round, more three-dimensional. So that is shading a sphere. Now we could get into more detail, but we're not going to with this video. Finally, the cylinder. The cylinder has both flat shading and what's called gradient shading, where it goes gradually from dark to medium to light. The top of the cylinder is going to be flat shading. And I realized I did not draw my light source for the cylinder, so I'm going to have to do that so that I can remember which side of the cylinder is light and which side is dark. So I wanted to make the top of the cylinder look flat, so I gave it all that same medium value. I'm going to have the light again come from the top left. That means this side will be lighter, this side will be darkest. In fact, the darkest part of the cylinder is going to be right here. I'm going to just go ahead and rough it in nice and dark. And then it's going to be gradually less dark as we go around this side. And I'll blend it in with my pencil as I go. And then gradually less dark over here. Now it's not gradual yet because I haven't blended it with my pencil, but you'll see in a minute. And then a little lighter here. And then it'll be the lightest right here. So it looks dark, medium, light. Now I'm gonna I see an edge right here between the dark and the medium. So I'm just gonna kind of blend it in with a pencil, work that away, and just fix it as I go. Now it's not going to look perfect. I'm not using real drawing pencils, not using real drawing paper, but I can still make it look pretty good with the stuff that I have. I'm going to blend these two values. That way they look a lot smooth, like they have a smoother transition from dark to light, which is the goal when I'm shading something round like the cylinder. I'm just blending with my pencil. And now it looks a lot smoother. Now if I applied shadows to make it look like these were sitting on a table, then it would look a lot more realistic, but we're not gonna do that right now. Right now I just want you to stick with the value scale and these three objects. I look forward to seeing what you do. Please share with us and tell us what you thought. Thanks.